Hi, Dr. Shelah Harris today, and we are going to be talking about the subject of how to forgive. Yes, how to forgive. And for those of you who are new to my videos or my channel, I would want to invite you to subscribe to the channel, and by all means, watch my playlist on forgiveness. You'll find I've done quite a lot of videos on the subject of forgiveness, some of which will be very, if not all of it, will be very helpful to you or anyone else in your life that's struggling with forgiveness. So let's get started with this. How do we forgive when something cuts deep into the nerve, where we feel offended, we feel resentment, we feel as if someone has cheated on us or taken our lives away from us and sent us in a different direction from what we planned? How on earth are we supposed to forgive such a person? I'm pretty sure you've asked yourself those questions, or perhaps you've said it so many times that there's no way I can forgive that person. Every one of us are capable of forgiving. Every one of us. That's what I want to say to you. I don't want to underestimate whatever it is you are struggling with, because we all have different experiences. But for me, I want to share with you some of the most atrocious things that have happened to me that led me to believe that every one of us can forgive another. Because in truth, we have been forgiven for things that we did to others as well. I remembered there was someone in my life that I trusted unreservedly. I had no doubt in my mind that this person would possibly divulge confidential information that I released to that individual in confidence. Needless to say that few years down the line, I discovered that most of my soul-searching dilemmas, personal, private matters that I have confidently shared with this person, thinking that they were friends, thinking that they were loyal and honest and loving, and they would be there to support me. Little did I know they were not developed enough to handle information of that nature. That's in hindsight how I'm going to describe this. But at the time, when I learned that my personal private matters were now public information, I wasn't thinking this way at all, because there was the sense of shame, resentment, guilt, you name it. All sort of negative emotions were experienced by me, because I felt that I wanted those information confidential and never to be divulged to a third party, and now my information was out in the public domain to people who I would not naturally volunteered my information to. Can you imagine how I felt? Can you imagine what the subject of forgiveness would have been felt to me? Of course, I don't want to listen to anything called forgiveness at a time when I had that experience. That was the last thing anyone could possibly talk to me about, and I listened to. But a few years down the line, I had to forgive that person. Because the more I heard, the more I realized that there was something else happening in this individual's life. And in truth, there were some mistakes that I made, because I was also not evolved enough to notice that this person has a problem with retaining other people's information confidentially. Big mistake that I have to learn. So how do you forgive someone? Whether they cheat on you, whether they lie about you, whether they slander you, whether they, through accident, kill someone who is close to you. No matter what they do, you've got to make a decision to forgive. But to make that decision to forgive, there has to be a big why. Why should I make this decision? Why should I let go of this? Why? So it's the why that I want to focus on today. Because this was the big why that enabled me to make the decision to forgive, because that decision was not an easy one for me to make at all. The why is this: spiritually, we are all connected. There is a purpose for us to be in this planet. We don't know that we're here to master love. We think we're here to have a party, just to go through life with all our desires met: food, sex, money, honor, knowledge. That's not the only reason we're here. In fact, all of those desires, whilst we will meet them up to a point, there has to be another desire that we have to fulfill. And that other desire that we have to fulfill is our spiritual desire. The desire to transmute self-love or a resistance to unconditional love for love of others, just like we love ourselves. That desire very often is where we come unstuck with, because it contradicts all the other desires that we have. All the other desires for food, for sex, for money, they are all about our physical life, our physical needs. They're not about other people. Even when we accommodate other people in our lives, we do so because we want something from the other people. So we go to work, for example, not because we love the job. Hopefully we love what we do when we get to the job, because there are people who don't love what they do when they go to the offices anyway, but that's another subject for another day. But if we love what we do, we are there to give service in return for money, because we have to pay our bills. We have to buy food to sustain ourselves, clothing to sustain ourselves. So going to work is really about ourselves. We are providing service to get something in return. So all the other desires that we have, sex, it's about ourselves. Family, it's about our need. We have a need to procreate, create and have a home and have a family. That's also about ourselves. Let's look at the other one. Security, that's about ourselves. Money, that's about ourselves, because we need the money to do all these other things that we just talked about. Knowledge, again, it's about ourselves. But here's something that is not about ourselves. It is about spiritual desires, the desire to connect and love. Why? Nature has given us this desire because the ultimate goal, after we fulfill all those other desires, is to connect to the bigger force that connects all of us. This is why, naturally, whilst we are operating between one another and not thinking about the bigger desire to connect us all together, we will always experience offense and we will offend others. Whether conscious or unconsciously, we will. The issue now for us is this. Should we forgive? Yes, we have to. Because this higher desire, which is our spiritual desire, if we do not forgive one another, we will not attain that desire. And it will be disastrous for all of us. Why? Because the power that governs our universe is the power of love. And so when we say we are not going to forgive, it's like saying we are going to detach ourselves from the power of love, because the power of love is a force, and we cannot attract love in our lives if we are also not practicing love. So there has to be a why. So how to forgive begins with why we must forgive, so that we can connect to the bigger agenda of life itself. Once you made a decision that you are going to forgive, the next step is how you're going to take this journey. It is not an easy journey. For some things, it might be easy. You know, if someone stole my bag, well, okay, yes, I was angry. I like the bag. It's an expensive bag. I really could not find that bag anymore, so I'm really not happy about this. But it's easy to forgive after a while, because time heals as well. But let's say, for instance, I trusted my best friend with my boyfriend. I really loved my boyfriend. In fact, we were engaged. And my best friend started going out with my fiance. Now, that's a deep one for you to deal with. You may find it difficult. So you may have taken a decision mentally that you want to forgive. But to open the heart and get to that point where you actually take the journey to forgive, you may need help. If you can do it by yourself, bravo. But in many cases, I struggled myself with some big things in my life. You may need help from a spiritual coach, from a spiritual consultant, from a spiritual teacher. You need help from someone who can help pray with you, guide you, support you. You need help from people who are all in the same line of thoughts of forgiveness, a community of people who want to connect to the higher force, who want to love and promote harmony. Certainly you don't want to be in an environment where they're thinking about the opposite, because that's not going to help your cause at all. So why? You must make sure you write it down. Then get yourself a support group that will assist you, guide you, cheer you along, pray with you, cry with you, until you make that journey. So without any further ado, how to forgive begins with understanding what forgiveness itself is. And if you haven't joined or subscribed to this channel, I will once again encourage you to do so. Thank you for watching.